we'd really like to use Chelsea Green. We'd really like to have in Allison Kay. We'd really like to have in Marty Bell to be a part of what we're doing. Can we bring him in?
My guest at this time in the ring, this competitor, broadcast tones. Today on Sportskeeda Wrestling, we're talking to the voice of Ring of Honor Wrestling, Ian Riccaboni. Watch out, watch out, watch out indeed. Ian Riccaboni, how are you? Joining us from Allentown, PA. We have some big things from Ring of Honor to talk about coming up in the next few weeks. Broadcaster to broadcaster, this is always good. How does it feel to be the voice of Ring of Honor? It's a very busy time in pro wrestling, and you are the play-by-play guy for one of the top wrestling promotions in the world right now.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Kevin. It's really wild. I'm coming up on my 5th anniversary as the play-by-play guy, and it feels like it was yesterday. My son was 4 months old at the time when I was kind of selected, and for some people, I kind of came out of nowhere. For others that kind of followed the internet exclusive stuff, they knew I'd kind of been simmering on the Women of Honor, Future of Honor type stuff. But it's wild. It still never feels real. It was a childhood dream. I grew up in Allentown. Wrestling is huge here. Wrestling, they taped WWF here from 77 to 84 when
it was an armory show. They did a lot of armory stuff there, right?
Yeah, the Allentown Agricultural Hall, which was on the Allentown Fairgrounds. So, we were the first ones to see Hulk Hogan when he came back. We were the first ones to see Hulk Hogan when he was there the first time. We saw Bob Backlund, Iron Sheik. I mean, I didn't. I was a little too young for that. And
you've heard the stories, though, right?
I've heard the story. And it's funny, you go to the bars around that area, and they still have the pictures of Andre and Hulk and Bob Backlund and Bruno. And, it's such a historic thing in Allentown that it still doesn't feel real, because you just hear about wrestling and you become this wrestling fan during the Hogan era, then the Attitude Era. And you just think, wow, I'd really like to be a part of that. And it just doesn't hit you that you'll one day get a chance to do it.
And the whole Mid-Atlantic, that region from New York down to, well past the Carolinas, was a very, very hot region for the rise of independent pro wrestling about 10, 15 years ago. And Ring of Honor was a huge, huge part of that. I know in Chicago, Ring of Honor, their first big breakout shows were here, Philadelphia, Boston, New York. And it was like that loop over and over again. And then everyone's, in the last years, this, has said that, there's so many people that left the promotion. Where is it? And is it the same thing? And then there was this huge Madison Square Garden show, and Ring of Honor is back in the prom, and then pandemic. And so you guys have weathered the storm like a lot of different people in the industry have. I think a lot of televised wrestling has done a great, great job. I don't think there's many people that have done a bad job. And I look at the role that you guys did with testing, with advanced things that you guys were doing before some other promotions were doing that. You guys were doing that first. How do you guys see yourself coming out of the pandemic now? Live events are sporadic for you. We will talk about one here in a few minutes, but how do you see Ring of Honor come out of the pandemic right now?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hopeful with the introduction of the vaccines, and they're proving to be effective. There are breakthrough cases, but the vaccines are certainly limiting the risk, and they're limiting the idea of breakthrough cases. They're limiting how sick people can get. And I have 2 kids, 4 and 2. We started sending them back to daycare in the summer. The Delta variant's scary, but I think that we will be in a good spot. We moved the pay-per-view from Florida to Pennsylvania, and that was very deliberate. At the time, Pennsylvania had much lower cases and much lower transmission than Florida did. And so we moved it to somewhere that we felt was a safer venue just based on the statistics. So I think Ring of Honor, hopefully in 2022, I know we have some holds on some buildings that we're hoping to run live, fingers crossed. But hopefully, as we see the numbers continue to go down, we can start to bring back the live events and the live fans. I don't begrudge the other companies for doing that. AEW just had that monster show at Arthur Ashe, and WWE's been back on the road. But there's something to be said where I can come home and I know that every possible precaution was taken. And I know the other companies have started to do some rapid testing as well, and some testing to make sure that they're not spreading it among their roster and their crew, which is awesome. I think, Ring of Honor, once we get to a point where maybe the vaccination rate's high enough and some of the caseload is low enough, I think that's when you'll see more and more events with fans again, because there's an appetite for it. When we went to Baltimore for Best in the World, our attendance there was higher than it was when we had Final Battle 2019 there, which was the last show we had there with paid fans. So
Distance makes the wrestling heart grow fonder,
right.
Yeah.
And, we have all these great athletes, whether it's Bandito, the world champ, Roosh, Dragon Lee, Brody King, Shane Taylor, Jay Lethal, Matt Taven, you name it, Vincent. We have this amazing cast of characters, and it's just really awesome to be a part of. So I think we're all hopeful. We're hoping that the vaccines, again, the vaccination rate hopefully goes up, the caseload goes down. And I think that's what Ring of Honor is looking for, to be able to run some more live events.
And then now you have those mandates from venues that you're running.
Right.
All right, if you're going to be here, this is the rules. And Live Nation is specifically AEG. These are two huge event promoters. If you don't know who they are, you buy tickets to any concert, really, for the most part, at any arena or mid-level venue that holds 1,500 people. Live Nation usually has a hand in that business, and now they're mandating that across the country. And there'll be the people that oppose it, and that'll happen. And it happens in wrestling, no different than that, but you weather the storm. And I think that's a good thing. And Ring of Honor was doing that right away, taping shows in front of no fans, having the production look good, doing a promote the tournament. I thought was absolutely fantastic, that layered into, let's just keep it in the ring. Let's just keep it in the ring and do that. Was it hard to broadcast those on your end?
That's an awesome question. It was interesting. From the first match that we had taped as part of the tournament was Rocky Romero versus David Finlay. And I remember we had some time in between matches, because at that point, they were clearing the canvas, they were cleaning the ring ropes, they were cleaning everything, because it was still before we knew a whole lot. They didn't really know if surface to surface transmission was a thing. So they were cleaning everything, which was awesome. And we went and we talked to Rocky and Dave, and we were like, "Hey, could you hear us?" And they were like, "Yeah." And they were like, and then Caprice was like, "Was it bad?" And they were like, "No, it was actually,
it's weird. It's weird if wrestlers in the ring they're the only people that can hear your commentary live as you're doing it, and then you're like, "Hey, I usually don't hear the commentary, but when I got you in that hole here, I love how you were selling it."
And it's interesting, because Jay Lethal, who's one of the very best in the world, he actually told us, "Hey, I heard you say something on commentary, so I tried something else." So it was one of those things where, just the elephant in the room, so to speak, was Caprice and I. But it wasn't hard. I was so excited just to get back and just to do something again. It had been, I think, 6 months at that point since we'd been in St. Charles, Missouri, which is right outside of St. Louis. And by that point, I was just chomping at the bit to do something again. And so by the time we got there, my adrenaline was sky high, and I was just ready to get out of the hotel room. Ring of Honor treated us like kings. They put us in a nice hotel. If you're going to be quarantined somewhere, but hopefully it's nice, and that's where it was. And they gave us a food budget. They gave us all kinds of goodies and good stuff, and they made sure we were taken care of. But we had to be there for 4 straight days before we could go ahead and get tested. We got tested the first day, got tested the day before the event, so we got tested the day of the event. And this
is pre-vaccine, so they were very stringent with you guys.
Yeah, so by the time we actually got cleared and we got our 3 negatives and the pre-test the week before, so I guess it was 4 negatives, we were all chomping at the bit just to go ahead and go do it. So yeah, it was. I thought it might be difficult, but it was like riding a horse. It was like riding a bike. You get out there, you do it. You've done it a million times, and that excitement comes right back.
Let's talk about a new venture that has been a really big focus for Ring of Honor recently, and it is something that I think was due. Maybe some people would say overdue, and that is the introduction of the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Women have had a strong role in the history of Ring of Honor, but never had their own championship. Different championships from other promotions have been featured sporadically, but now you have your own title. Roxy is your champion. Hell of a tournament final at the Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. Maybe even the show stealer. Tell me about the Women of Honor effort and how that is truly broken out in the past few months for you guys.
Yeah, I think what's really key about the Ring of Honor Women's Division is what you see on television is authentic. Maria Kanellis Bennett is the person who is scouting the talent. She is the one talking to Booker T and saying, "Hey, do you have any students that are ready? Do you have anybody that's ready to break out? Are they ready to get a shot?" She's the one talking to Mickey James and saying, "Hey, we'd really like to use Chelsea Green. We'd really like to have in Allison Kay. We'd really like to have in Marty Bell to be a part of what we're doing. Can we bring him in?" And she's the one saying, "Hey, we have these other talent too, and we have Rock. Booker T gave his blessing to Roxy. She's absolutely ready. She's a star. Maybe we can have her do this or that." Or Miranda Alizé, same thing. Just this diamond in the rough that's been in Texas, really grinding, making a name for herself. Been in Mexico as well. So Maria Kanellis Bennett, what you see is what you get. She's the real deal, the genuine artifact. She is the person responsible for the division. And when you have somebody with that kind of credibility, when you have somebody who can put themselves in the talent's shoes, I think before, when we had the division, the folks that were in charge and the folks that were scouting the talent didn't have the same experience as Maria did. And that's not to belittle anybody, or that's not to put down anybody, but to have somebody that's been there, done that, got the T-shirt. 17 years ago, she made her debut in WWE. I think as a teenager. She was somebody that has been through the grinder. She says it herself. She's been around the world and back again, and she has the experience with Ring of Honor. She'd been in Ring of Honor previously for about 3 years or 2 years. So she's somebody that talent can trust, who they know she has lived and breathed what they're trying to do. And she's been the catalyst to the success. She's the one who is out scouting. She is the one, also Bobby Cruz has played a big part in ensuring that he, knows what Maria is. He's right there with the effort. And there's a lot of folks internally that have pushed, like Bobby, like Todd Sinclair, who've been in the Ring of Honor locker room to really push this to the forefront. And, the thing is, this wouldn't have worked if we didn't have the talent that we got. So, we have Sumi, we have Mandy Leon, we have talent that have been here for quite a bit and tried to establish the foundation. But anytime you can bring in Allison Kay, who's a multi-time world champion, anytime you can bring in Nicole Savoy, the longest ever reigning Shimmer champion, anytime you can get young talent, the blue chips like Roxy, like Miranda Alizé, like Trisha Dora, and Maserati, and the list goes on and on and on. And so when you have somebody like Maria who has been in their shoes, who the talent can trust and know that, hey, we're doing it for real this time. We have a plan, and we're going to make sure it's on television. We're going to make sure that it's promoted to its fullest extent. Then it's real. And I'll tell you what, you're absolutely right. My favorite match of the pay-per-view, take nothing away from any of the other matches, was Roxy versus Miranda Alizé. That was a fight. that was a chess match that turned into a fight. That was a chess fight, and it was just amazing.